The HUD program, federal HUD program, there's sustainable communities program that we get ready to expand in the next 2 years. We're already in the process of coming up with economics for them as well. So actually have a criteria for it.
I think the concept of local is something that we used to know because it was the only thing available. There wasn't enough transportation and there wasn't enough infrastructure to ship things all over the country, and if gas went up to $10 a gallon again, I think we would find out very quickly what something that was local meant. As of right now, I feel like even it's, I don't want to be too nationalistic, but even just American made is a place to start, which is something that most anyone you talk to, right wing, left wing, whoever, can usually agree that if it's at least made in America, at least we're starting in a good spot. And hopefully they're not pretending that it was made in America, but it's sort of trying to figure out a way to explain to people who may or may not be interested in the environmental aspect, or they may not be interested in some of the sustainability aspects, but at least American made is something that most anybody can sort of grasp as far as what local means. It was made by as far as here. And that's something that I have to explain to people every now and then, and it generally works. But even other products that were made by actual local people, like you mentioned, our local Mexico potatoes. Depending on where you are, maybe Mexico is local to you. But as far as them being in our area, that seems a little strange. So coming up with some, what it means to be local is something that we have to work to help describe to other folks. Because it changes depending on where you are and what local is to you. Thanks.
I've got a question that kind of goes in line with this discussion. There's a number of things that have worked in other areas. Organic is a label that's worked pretty well. You can't label your food organic if it doesn't meet certain criteria. And in the automotive world, there's the EPA label. No automaker is allowed to advertise any fuel economy rating other than what the EPA has labeled. And that's based on some standards. Poor ones, but it's a standard. And now I'm hearing great things about Walmart's going to label other stuff for environmental impact. I mean, do you see anything for local? Is there anything on in the pipeline for labeling something local and having some standards there?
I just have a quick comment on the working with Walmart aspect. One issue is that Walmart's business plan overall is not sustainable. So sometimes people say, well, is it good if Walmart has organic food or local food? And yes, it's good, it's better than what they have, but if you're like a local farmer looking to go in to Walmart, then you have to watch out because they are still working on the single bottom line. So that is totally going to depend on how it works out for them financially, and they're not all that really invested in sustainability. But as far as for local products, does anyone have standards for local products?
They've got an interagency team right now. I'm meeting with them 1st of May where they're developing the standards and stuff like that.
So you can show like a rating, or is it just a stamp of organic?
I'm flying blind pretty much. I'm trying to work with a couple of those agencies right now and figure out. I think it's just kind of the initial stage. It's specifically for our project, but since we're involving some of the sustainable communities projects and everything, some of the processes that they've already got pipeline right now, we're hopefully going to be integrating that into our project. And so I know that they're working on some type of standard.
Sounds like an iPhone app. You should be able to scan a product.
You got it out. iPhones aren't sustainable.
But there is a local format. There's local format, so you can come into an area and see what food's in season with the farmers market and stuff like that. So, one thing I'd say we're doing for our cooperative grocery store, and again, learning the natural food industry, we're defining local as 250 miles. So we just took the definition on ourselves. I mean, you might be 500 miles or whatever. We're trying to get a little bit ahead of the curve. So when we talk about our co-op and we say this is local, it's in 250 miles. So we're trying to get a little bit ahead because as I said, for Harris Teeter, they define local as from America. So we try to scale it down just a little bit more. So, and I think, and again, the thing that blows me away is just complete transparency. A few years ago, I was aware of this, is that the food industry was able to keep the government from requiring to label GMOs on food. I mean, that's just bizarre to me. Why, I'm not here to say GMOs are good or bad. I just want to know if they're in my food or not. And in Europe, I mean, they have to have full disclosure. Whatever's in that process has to be there. In the U.S., they do not have to disclose a GMO in your food product.
And the same goes for processing. They don't have to tell you if it
Right.
was irradiated, fluorinated,
Right,
whatever.
it's just
It
bizarre.
can be anything. So that's another reason to know, like Debbie's saying, okay, so a single person making soap, they don't have maybe a huge marketing background or as good insurance as a huge company, but you can go to, if you know them, you can talk to them and say, oh, just give me a rash or whatever. If you know your farmer, you can ask them, do you fully pasture feed or do you corn feed at the end? And they'll tell you. So as far as, it'd be one step on one aspect would be to have national standards, but another aspect would be to really look into knowing where and who your stuff's coming from, and kind of gauge it on yourself, because there's always problems with regulations. There's problems with organic certification. There's things that you don't know. That's a transparency. But you can at least have a conversation with somebody if you know who made it.
Are y'all familiar with the food and safety regulations going on
Yes,
right now?
it's very challenging.
It's going to be devastating to small farms if
Yeah.
it goes through the way it's in place right now.
What is that?
There's legislation being considered right now as far as food safety that people should be looking up. There have been recent scares in the past about legislation that, it's going to stop organic farming and I can't have a garden. And those were overblown. But the current legislation about food safety is looking to regulate every direct sale of every farmer, whether it's on farm, whether it's at a farmer's market, whether it's through a CSA, any direct sale, they are going to put in some regulations that will be more difficult for small farms to adhere to and less reasonable for small farms than for the larger companies that it's really designed for. They're creating legislation to oversee, the peanut packing plant that processes 90% or whatever in the United States, that they're going to enforce on local small farmers that it's going to totally change the way they can sell and grow. And they're kind of, the idea is to sterilize the farms, make it cleaner instead of more integrated and safer. I can say a lot, but
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to thank all of our panelists. Again, we have Franya Hutchins of High Country Supported Agriculture. She has a table there. Sign up for your produce. 8 months of produce.
it's 20 weeks, or we also have orders year-round.
Okay. Eric Mathis of the Jobs Project based in West Virginia, trying to get people off of the coal industry economy.
And we're having internships if anybody's interested.
Yes, and tell other people who might be interested. Auntie Ball, our illustrious town council representative, and we're so happy to have you to make it here. Eric Henry, TS Designs, Debbie Golompinski, we're very proud of her as a staple of Free Mother Goods.
And don't forget your virtual coupon to save sustainability and get 20% off. No, $5 off a purchase of $20 or more.
And Quinn David, as I call him, the veritable green linchpin of food, for keeping all these businesses together. Thank you, everyone.